Morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be able to get back together with all of you after the holidays. I hope your Christmas and whatever holiday you celebrate was amazing. I'm super excited to have Curtis with us again today. We're going to do some follow-up from our last training, which he'll be able to tell you, he'll reiterate a little bit of what we did and where we're going to go from today. Curtis and Lisa, we have become friends with them over the course of the last couple of years, and I'm thrilled to be able to have them at our disposal to be able to help us. They're 26-year veterans. They're seven-figure earners. They travel all over the world to help other teams and to just build and to train and speak, and they are absolutely amazing, amazing people. They have a heart to serve, and I hope all of you realize how blessed we are to have them with us. And today we have Curtis. So take it away, Curtis.
All right, gang. Listen, it's good to see both you guys. I'm glad we got a chance to talk a little bit before we went live. You know, congratulations on finishing out at just a killer year. You guys just crushed it. And really, it's a reflection of what your teams did, which means you're coaching and mentoring. So congratulations to your entire doTERRA team. You know, doTERRA's putting up great numbers and doing wonderful things. And I mean, it's a great company, and we're proud that we can do this professionally, but also it's a personal it's personally fun for us. We have become good friends. You know, we saw each other last at Eric's GoPro GPRM 2015 back in Vegas in November. So anyway, it's great to be here. I'm actually sitting in an apartment on the 25th floor of the Hampton Court Towers Gateway Apartments in Hong Kong in Tsim Sha Tsui, which is on the Kowloon side of the harbor. In fact, last year, the last few seconds of last year, as it flipped over to this year, I just kind of sat here. I'm actually sitting at the desk in the living room area, but I'm looking out at out a window at the night city. But because it's about 1 a.m. here, so it's about 11 a.m. Central Time back in the States. And all I had to do was go this way and take a look, and I got to watch the massive fireworks in the harbor, so that was fun. So I hope you and all your gang, wherever they were, had a great celebration 2015, because you guys are no doubt going to put up completely brand new record numbers, so that's great too. And here's what we talked about briefly before we got started. You know, Lisa and I've had a chance over 26 years to build international teams, build seven-figure incomes. We know what it's like to be mentored, and that's really what it's about. All of us should have a desire to become mentoring capable. And I prefer that versus a teacher. You know, although sometimes it's difficult to find the right word. Teaching, I suppose, is what we do. Coaching, I think, is a great thing that we're really trying to do, because we're encouraging and trying to get people to bring more out in themselves. You know, we're not just teaching a course. And mentoring is something that I think is the ultimate pinnacle, where you really do try and find those who have a real desire for greater things, both for themselves, but particularly for those around them. And they aspire not to learn just to be able to do, but they want to learn for the purpose of being able to master, again, not for what they're capable of doing, but for the purpose of being able to then share with others how to do that. And so that's the perspective I'd like to share with everybody as you start off 2015. I think if you will develop a servant heart as rapidly as possible when you begin in the profession, even before you've made your first dollar, which is, I want to open myself up to learning as much as possible from the perspective of wanting to one day be able to teach it, coach it, and mentor it to others. See, it's one thing to learn how to do something so that you can personally execute at a higher level. It's an entirely different level of capability when you can not only perform at that level, but you can actually take someone else from just getting from scratch, getting starter point, and you can coach them into becoming as capable or more capable than you. So if your desire from the beginning is to learn not just for your own ability to execute, but to learn at a level where you can coach others to be able to execute better than you've ever been capable of doing, that's really the right mindset. And it also puts you in that long-term mindset where I realize, look, this isn't all going to happen in 10 minutes, but that's okay, because I'm here for the long term. Which comes back to what I want to do to tie into what we talked about last time we spoke. If everybody goes back to the last, we didn't realize it was going to be this long a break, but if they'll go back to where we last chatted, probably 3 Wednesdays ago, maybe even 4, maybe almost 4 weeks ago. I spoke about a concept which was testing. Hang on a second. There you go. Let me turn something on. And the test was that we aren't here to get people to do something they don't want to do. We're here to give people an opportunity by giving them information, giving them guidance, giving them an example to follow, giving them the opportunity to make a choice. And if they continue to make the right choices, they can begin on a path and eventually go all the way through a path towards, whatever. And they may set low desires. They may have low levels of desired success at first because they're just a little uncertain and unsure. But with each accomplishment, they start to raise their own aspiration, which is the story that you share about you and Mark. But where people sometimes get hung up is when they get started, and Lisa alludes to this all the time, many people start by being presented information. Through that information, they're given an opportunity to make a choice, and what happens in their mind is something clicks, and they see this possibility with these circles that duplicate and duplicate and duplicate how they could be wealthy, and they think off the top of their head of these 3 people that first come to mind. We always say, well, make a list. We talk about hot market, then warm market, and all this other stuff. And when people go back through all the trainings, they'll see all this. But what happens is people sometimes think of those first 3 or 4 names that pop in their head and think, ooh, if I can get Romy and Lisa and Mark and Kurt, I can be rich. And the reality is, it's very probable that as you make out your first list, there's nobody on that list that's ever going to make you rich. And if you expect that to happen, you're setting yourself up for failure. Instead, what you should do is look at the mirror first and determine, because that's the only thing you can control. I can't control what other people choose. I can control what I choose to do, but I can't control what they choose to do, and that's not my job. In fact, when you try to do that, and you try to sell people, and you try to influence them or affect their decision versus getting their information and then letting their decision be what it should be for them at that time, what's going to happen is you're probably going to exhaust yourself, have people who come and go so fast, your disappointment's going to, your frustration level is going to go up, and you're probably not going to have the long-term run that you hope, because you set yourself up for that. Because instead, what you should have done is you should have looked in the mirror. And the person you're looking at in the mirror is the one where you should have made your start. And so anybody can go back to where I finished last time, which is the test, and I'll wrap it back in. But we talked about there are really 3 phases. This is something the mentor who after 2 years of failure I finally was willing to listen to, who once I'd listened to him long enough, I realized everybody I'd been hearing for 2 years, if I had listened to them, any of them could have mentored me. I didn't catch on as fast as you and Mark. I went through 2 years of self-abuse before I decided to finally listen. Most people quit, and I was at the point of quitting when finally I decided to. And what my mentor said is, he said, Curtis, there are really 3 things. It comes down to commit, engage, and test. We started talking about test last time, and I said, I know it's a little out of order, so we'll come back to it. Let's go to the beginning. He said there are really 3 aspects of your path to significant success. If you really want success of significance, there's really 3 components: commit, engage, and test. And what he meant by that was, he said, first of all, you have to decide. And commit is the best word. What are you committing? What is your commitment? And what are you going to commit to? Because the commitment that you make is a decision. It's a choice that you make, period. It's an instantaneous thing. I commit to XYZ. I commit to this. If you truly do, it's not just something that you say, it's something that you are. It is something that you have become. It is a decision that you've made, not a word that you said. It's a decision you made internally, and if it is truly a decision of commitment, it's not something you ever have to have a conversation with yourself about again. It's just a done deal. And what you have to understand going forward is when you commit, it is a decision that you make, and everything else is an excuse. Everything else, pardon the almost French here, the BS, everything else is just BS. There is no or terminate your commitment. There's nothing anybody else can do. There's nothing that anyone else can do that takes away your commitment. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. There's nothing they can say. There is no number of people on your team who quit, including 100% of them. If you're getting started and you have 3 or 4 team members who grows to 5 or 6, and then all 6 of them quit simultaneously, there's nothing that they can do that should change, that you can say changed your commitment. There is nothing they can say. There is nothing that can happen. There is nothing that a company can do. There's nothing that anyone else in a cross line can do. There is nothing that anyone outside who you talk to who scoffs at what you're talking about, and they make fun of it and tell you it's silly, it's ridiculous, it's foolish. There is nothing that anyone else can say that can alter your commitment. So man up or woman up and be strong enough to stand firmly, and just know, if you truly commit, then it is an unwavering, undeniable, unstoppable decision until you choose to not commit. So don't blame it on anything else. Well, I stopped being committed to that and I'm going to do something else. Well, because somebody said something mean and it hurt my feelings, or because 3 people quit and or the company made a mistake, or gee whiz, the mailman ran over the dog. And look, so it's got to start there before you think about wealth and before you think about the path ahead of you. It comes down to, what are you going to do? And what I've often said to people is, look, and we've all seen these postings on Facebook, we've seen them a million times, but there's one that is really true. Why is it there are so few people, or they have no willingness to put in 2 to 5 years of committed effort to get rich and create wealth? And by wealth, it's not necessarily, and by rich, it may not necessarily be in numbers of dollars, but in terms of absolute control of their life. If people truly on your team listen to the story that you and Mark tell about where you were and where you started, where your belief level wasn't, where your doubt level was, where your uncertainty was, but you at least chose to start. And then as you started, you've chosen to never quit because you committed. And admittedly, the strength of your commitment may have grown, but it never wavered enough that it never took you out of the game. And look at where you are today. The 2 of you are mind-bogglingly wealthy. Whether or not that's in terms of actual dollars and cents, you have complete and total control of your life and your time and your future and how you spend it and who you spend it with and the way in which you do it. But it has to start with that commitment. And so the question I ask people, because think about that. Why that saying that we've all seen on Facebook? Why do people believe that it is so absurd to be willing to commit 2 to 5 years to wealth when it's not absurd to commit 40 years to being broke for somebody else's benefit, or 40 years to have no wealth or success? And it's not because they have none of those freedoms. So here's the question I start with people. If you really want to be serious about it, would you be willing to invest in your education, to spend money with no expectation of ever making $1 single for 2 years, if in that period of time you laid a foundation that would absolutely create the kind of wealth that Romy and Mark have been able to achieve? Would you be willing to do that? Then what is it financially? Numerically, what is that? What is the biggest starting package you can possibly start with in doTERRA, or in whatever company you may be looking at? Is it $1,000? Okay, great. Then what's the monthly to stay active? $120? Okay, great. Well, let's multiply that out times 11 months. That's $1,320 plus 1,000. That's $2,300 plus the next year. That's another $120 times 12 months. Another $1,400. So that's $3,500. Oh, great. Are you willing to invest $3,500 over 2 years to learn what you need to learn? Now understand that can all be tax written off with your job or whatever else you're doing. Because are you willing to commit to that kind of an effort path? Would you be willing to put it without ever making a dime? The magic that if you just follow some simple guidance principles, you're going to make dimes. You're going to make dollars. You're going to make $10, $100. You can't. There's no way to not make some of that money back. If not all of that. If people follow the hot market system, they can get all of it back in 24 to 48 to 72 hours. If they follow the hot market system, they can make all of it back. But take that away. If you don't have control of your life, and if you don't have wealth, and if you don't like what we're offering here, great. Because I'm not going. I started out by my failure in my first 2 years. I started by selling and convincing and trying to get people to do things, and I did. I got everybody to sign up because I came out of a sales background, and they all got themselves to quit because they never really made the decision. I just sold everybody on the decision. I don't sell anybody anymore. I inform and educate. And then I direct people to make a decision. But I don't care what decision they make. I don't care if they say yes. I don't care if they say no. And what I mean by that is I don't personally invest my emotional state in your decision. Because instead, I've learned that this business should best be about truly loving and respecting other people. And if their decision and choice is to say no, that doesn't make them less of a human being that I should show love and respect to. So why should I be disappointed? I'm disappointed if they say no without understanding what they're saying no to. And now I've learned to be disappointed if they get all silly, ridiculously excited and say yes to something they don't understand either because they just see everybody else doing it. And that's a stupid reason to say yes. Understand it and make your decision. And I love and respect you no matter what. That's why I don't care what you choose, because I care what I've chosen. And I've made a decision. I'm committed. And there's nothing you'll ever do that will cause that to waver in me. Because of that, it creates a position of absolute comfort, solidarity, this foundation of strength and peace and certainty. I am certain. Why? Because I remember the quote by Babe Ruth that I gave at the GoPro Recruiting Mastery. You just can't beat the person who never gives up. You just can't beat the person who never gives up. What that means is if you simply, Jim Valvano, the greatest 7 words, don't give up. Don't ever give up. You won't ever lose if you never give up. And with this caveat. And if you combine that with true effort, true focused, and even if it's part-time, I'm okay with somebody who can only start 5 to 8 hours a week. Great, outstanding. But is it a true, committed 5 to 8 hours a week of absolute personal commitment to wanting to get better? How dare you think you should make any income of significance if you aren't good enough to do it? Did you put in the time? Do you know your product? Do you know your business model? Have you talked to enough people with no expectation of getting the positive result or the big hit, simply as a personal desire to develop into someone who's good at talking to people? Did you make a decision? I'm going to talk to 100 people about doTERRA and our product and our opportunity, or as much of either of those as they will let me tell them before they walk off or drop dead or turn around or whatever. I'm going to commit to speaking to 100 people for the purpose of being 100 times better at talking the talk than I was when I started. The reality is, everybody take a chance. PM, private message Mark and Romeo on Facebook and ask them, how many people in your whole doTERRA career now, after all these years, have you probably spoken to? And it's hundreds and hundreds of people. And they've done presentation meetings in front of hundreds. They've done it so many times. That's why they are so good at it. They committed to becoming coaching and mentor capable. And nothing that I'm saying here is rocket science. I don't care if you never finished 2nd grade. You got 2 grades more education than you need to pull this off. It's common sense. So step number 1, you got to commit. Are you willing to commit? There's nothing complicated about it. If you go out there and look like a stumbling, bumbling, silly, and if you feel, you don't look this way, but if you feel like a stumbling, bumbling, moronic fool to 100 people, when you get to 101, let me tell you something, you're good. You are good. Because you just, so that's number 1, commit. Because nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can change it. It's a decision you make. You can decide right now, boom. Part of that commitment is, are you willing to put in the time over the next 2 years to gain the skills, not to make the money, not to get the income, not to change your financial future? Are you willing to commit to the next 2 years to gaining the level of capability that then makes you worthy of earning $100 a month or then $500 a month? Are you willing to spend 2 years to lay a foundation? Now, the magic of network marketing, if you really commit and if you have that kind of a mindset, and if it's 5 to 8 hours a week and that's it, but you really go at it with that desire to become better, looking in the mirror, not caring what anybody else chooses or doesn't choose or what they say or what they don't say, be quality and excellent and capable, guarantee you in 2 years in doTERRA, in that company, with those products, with that plan, and with the guidelines we've already given here through these recorded trainings and things like hot market, you will have made plenty of money. You may not be rich, but you're not going to be hurt. 100% of what we just talked about in terms of what you put in, you will have gotten back. That's just a no-brainer if you're willing. So would you be willing to spend the next 2 years, in fact, not having to just spend money, but then breaking even and even making some money, if you laid a foundation that allowed you to have the skill set so that you could absolutely for the rest of your life begin an accelerated path to crush it and have wealth, meaning the wealth of having your life, having a wealthy life, which means it is 100% yours to be whatever you want it to be. Because some people at $10,000 a month, they go, hey, you know something? This is as happy as I need to be. I'm ecstatic. Great. And some people it's 50,000. Some people get to 3 when they never thought they'd get there, and then it becomes 5. And then they get to 5, and they never thought that was possible. They get to 10, and then they get to 10, and they decide, well, why stop here? And all of a sudden, you wake up one day, and you're called Mark and Romy, and they're crushing it. So number 1 is commit. Number 2 is once you've done that, then it's about learning to engage, not pitch, not sell, not present. You don't have to learn how to close and handle objections. Look, handling objections should be called answering questions. Why? You have to understand the mindset that I've developed. I'm looking for people who are looking. And when I was younger in the business, when I first started 26 years ago, because of my sales background, I sold people. I pitched, I closed, I handled objections, I redirected objections, I attacked and confessed, I identified, I redirected to points of decision, because I came out of a sales mindset where every sale is a hot competition, and only if they buy did you win. If they don't, you lost. Today, when people say no, I win all the time. When people say yes, I win every time. When people say no, I win every time. Because I'm not looking to get people to do anything. I'm not looking to get people to behave a certain. I'm looking for people who are looking. And I do that by informing and then answering questions, not handling objections. Why? Those who are truly seeking are questioning. They may be skeptical. I love skeptical people. I will not give 3 seconds of my time to cynical people. When I present our business model and somebody says, well, that's nothing but those are pyramid scams. Those things never work. Nobody ever makes any money. I look at somebody at that instant and say, I never really thought of it. Oh, my gosh, I think you're right. Holy cow. Wow, you're right. Listen, let's not talk about this anymore. Have a great day. I've got to go talk to my friend. Oh, my gosh, I got to go. Thanks so much. Bye. I'm out of there. Because it is not a pyramid. There are pyramids. Then there's network marketing. doTERRA is a truly powerful business model. It is a legitimate company. It's making a difference in people's lives. If I stand in front of someone who, when I am presenting quality information, that's their response, that's a cynic. I don't give a cynic a 1/10 of a second more. You know something? I never thought about that. You're probably right. Listen, Bill, it was great to meet you. Listen, I'm going to let you get back to life, and I got life to get to, so I'll see you later. Bye. I'm gone. I have been with my team members who put me in front of a prospect that I freak them out, because the minute I identify that that person's a cynic, I literally am gone physically from that meeting, that location, within 15 to 30 seconds. I don't do it rudely, but I say, oh my gosh, I never thought, oh my gosh, holy cow, I forgot something completely. Bill, I'm so sorry. Mary, I'll tell you what, let's talk a little bit, Bill. I want you guys to have a great day, but I've got someplace I've got to be, and I'll have to get back to you guys later, and I'll go. Why? When I'm sitting with a team member and a prospect, you know who I am there for? My team member, not the prospect. Why? Simple. I know that most people, network marketing is not for them. So the odds are that if I am in front of a prospect, they're probably not going to find this opportunity to be for them. I'm okay. Why am I there? I'm there to engage with the prospect in a way that coaches Mary how to become better. You see, the prospect, I have no idea what they're going to choose to do. Mary, my teammate, she has chosen our path. She has chosen doTERRA. She has chosen my opportunity. She has chosen to be a part of our profession. My job is to mentor her. We are speaking to a prospect, But I am not there to choose for them. I am not there to twist their arm and to sales pitch them so they buy the big package, which means in a week after all the excitement has worn off and buyer's remorse kicks in, they refund or they quit or they never call back or they, yeah. I'm there to coach Mary on how to become an elite performer and an elite thinker and an elite mentor herself one day to others. And if Mary puts me in front of a prospect that I see to be a cynic, I'm teaching Mary what her action should be, and that is the minute she finds herself with cynics, it's done. Keep the friendship, but from a business standpoint, the business meeting, we're done. Because I do not convince cynics. If instead the person's response has been, well, I've heard of things like this, but isn't this that pyramid stuff? Isn't this the kind of thing that people say are like pyramids or scams where almost nobody makes money? Is that what this is? That's a question. Now, I have no problem with skeptics. Cynics, I won't give a tenth of a second to, because great leadership understands. And for those who are listening, whether you realize it or not, Mark and Romy are not in the doTERRA business. They are, but they aren't. But when you retrieve a level of elite leadership and you truly want to give to your team, they're in the business of saving time. We are all born here, we're all going to die here, and we're all somewhere in the middle. Some of us are closer to the beginning part, some are closer down here, but we're all somewhere in the middle. That's just the way it is. And the one thing about time, it goes one direction, and it never goes back. And if I'm in front of a cynic, every minute that I'm there is a minute that Mary could be prospecting to find a skeptic or a seeker or a looker or someone who's desperately hoping someone will give them an opportunity to see something where they can change their life. Cynics, I can't change their life because their mind is already done. Therefore, I don't give them I give them the least amount of time. If it takes me 2 minutes to get away because I really need to figure out a way, but I mean, the second someone is cynical with me, I am instantly calculating how rapidly I can terminate this environment and move on, because I've got to teach Mary, let's go find another prospect for you, or continue prospecting. This is not the right place to be. It is negative, it is destructive, and it is detrimental. Let's move on. We aren't here to change people's minds. We're here to inform and educate out of respect and love and give them a chance to make a choice that is good for them. Skeptics, I'll sit with us. If Mary's prospect is skeptical but inquisitive, if they're asking questions and not making cynical, false BS statements that are based on nothing but stereotypical crap and nothing that has to do with reality, if they're asking questions and they're skeptical, I'll sit with that person till 5 o'clock in the morning. I probably sent Mary home to the husband and kids hours ago, because that's what I do. And I'll sit there and I'll lock up with that person. And if they're keeping questioning, because a skeptic, once all questions are answered and they now firmly believe there is validity, and in fact this can be what they've been looking for, becomes one of the most potent, most flat out, all in advocates you can finally see. But I don't convert a skeptic. I educate and inform a skeptic. That's the engage part. So step number one, you had to commit. You've got to decide. Am I currently at Romy and Mark's skill level? No? Great. Am I committed to getting there? Then let's not talk about making money. Let's not think about how rich we're going to get in terms financially, because you're not. You don't deserve to earn a dollar until you earn the right to earn the dollar. And it can happen immediately following hot market, but you should instead say, I commit to the next 2 years, whatever it costs me in terms of product activity that I have to do to keep an active center for 2 years. Look at that number, and that's a minimum of what you're willing to invest in your education. Then you are going to take this time and engage yourself. You're going to commit to being in every position possible, reading every book they recommend, going to every event you can, every Super Saturday, every nightly meeting or every weekly meeting that is available, every online webinar, every single thing you can possibly commit to, because this next 2 years you're going to become a PhD of excellence. Along the way, you will make the money. But then what you're going to do is, then once you've made that commitment, by the way, can be the first 5 seconds. Boom, I commit, because I'm going to do whatever it takes. The minute that happens, it's about engaging. And engaging is a process of getting good at it. After 26 years, I'm great at engaging. When I was first in this business for 2 years, I was a great talker, and I sucked at network marketing engagement. Because I didn't. I was a sales guy. I get in front of people, I start pitching. Now I don't. I get in front of people, I start questioning. And if you'll go back to the conversations that we've had, the trainings we've done, not pitch men or women. They're not presenters. They're conversationalists. They are interested in other people. They are not interesting personally. You can be dull and boring, you think, but you will be fascinating to other people if you are interested in them. And they become masters. True top-tier performers in our profession are masters of engaging others in conversation, not pitching them via presentation. They engage people as real human beings. They create immediate trust, respect relationships, even in the first 3 seconds of meeting somebody, and they do it by asking questions. The great thing about questions is you don't have to know the pitch, because you truly ask opening questions. You can go back through all the trainings we've done that before, and we've given you exercises that you can go through to become masters of that or begin your process of mastery. So you commit, then you engage, and that's what you are. For the rest of your life, you engage other human beings. You engage them in connection. You do that through conversation, and you engage. The most engaging conversations are where you ask questions that allow people to talk about themselves, where it opens them up. You do so in a way that you are trusting, you are trustworthy because you are sincere. You truly do honor and respect other people. You truly do treat them with respect. You truly do have a love of wanting to be in a position where you can help other people as much as possible. You don't need any skill beyond that. Everything else will come naturally. And you learn to engage. Engaging is a matter of questioning people so that you are aware of where they are, so that you can provide information based upon what their desires, what they're looking for, so they can make decisions. And that is what you will do for the rest of your career with them. And then becomes the test. And for the test part, that's the part you can go back to the training we did, because we were doing a short training, like I said, 3 or 4 weeks ago before we hit the holidays, and I talked about, there were 3 things my mentor had taught me, commit, engage, and test. But I said, let's talk about testing, because it had to do with people being frustrated with others not doing what they wanted them to do. Well, your children don't do what you want them to do half the time. Your pet never does what you want it to do. That's why you've got that spot in the carpet you got to go clean up. I mean, that's life. The question is, are you doing what you want you to do? Are you performing the way you wanted yourself to perform? If not, then go work in the mirror first. Work on the commitment side. So we talk about testing. So go back, and if you now will take this conversation with the testing on the end, here's how all of it comes together. When you see the profession properly, what our path should be, or what your path should be, what our path has been and what we continue to work on, is first your personal decision. What are you doing? What are you committing to do? And what do you really want to do? And how truly committed are you to it? Meaning, what is it that is going to take you out of the game? And the reality is, it should be absolutely nothing short of my death, if that's what it is. I'm going to die or get there. I'm going to be at the top of the mountain, or I'm going to be dead climbing, because I'm never turning around and going back down. That's a decision that you can make. You can make it within the first tenth of a second, because it's just a decision you make. If you ever change your mind, that's okay. Human beings, we're all allowed to change our mind, but do it strongly, not weakly. Do it in a strong way, not a weak way. Don't go blame anything else or anybody else. You just decided to no longer commit. Man up or woman up and accept that, and look in the mirror and say, there you go, I no longer choose to commit down this path. Hopefully you'll go find another path you can commit to, because you deserve to have the great wealth of life, which is truly the control of your life. But if you make that decision to commit, then your commitment is that you are first committed to, over time, gaining the skills that entitle you, quite frankly, and enable you to achieve whatever level of result it is that you've set as that's my desired achievement. And it doesn't have, talk to Romy and Mark. They didn't have this desire to make 50, 70, 80,000 a month when they started. They could barely, if they thought they made 3,000 a month, they thought, holy cow, that all the rest of the stuff is just fluff and probably hocus pocus stories and nothing's real, and if I can get to that, that's it. Now, if you talk to them, they have no limit. Literally. There is no limit to what they believe is possible in terms of monthly income, because they've now reached a level where they realize, why would we set a limit? Now, we may have a next level target. We're here, our next focus, we are going to figure out how many team members we can help. What do we have to do to give of ourselves to help our team grow so that it will take us to there? But the only way we would get there would mean we have brought that many more people up with us. So that's their focus. That's their change. Initially is what can we do so that we can get here. Then as they got through that, they began to realize. So now their mindset is there is no limit to where we will be, because there is now no limit to our commitment of how many people we wish to take who are willing to put in the effort. We will not do it for them. We will not drag them. We will not push them. We will hold out our hands, and if they will join hands with us, we will walk with them. We will sprint with them. We will absolutely run hard with them, because we will bring as many who wish to put in the effort with us by helping raise them up. But they will raise themselves up. We are just going to help. So that's the process. Are you willing to commit? Choose your level. Are you willing to engage? And engage means, first and foremost, are you willing to go through the things, and we've had tons of trainings on it, that will give you the skills so that you naturally realize, hang on a minute, this doesn't need to be intimidating. It doesn't need to be uncomfortable. In fact, it should be just flat out, belly laughing, bust a gut, my abs are killing me, I've been laughing so hard, having so much fun today, fun. Because I woke up today with no expectation of having to get anybody to do anything. Because I'm not here. I'm never going to want to wake up again to get somebody to do something. I went out today and I gave as many people of this human race that I was able to contact, however I contacted them, Facebook or Twitter or Skype or walking down the street or people standing next to the elevator or the people that I invited from work, my community center, or my church, my social organization, whatever. As many people as I could touch today, I engaged in a human conversation of connection because I cared. I went into it with an open heart. No limitations on where it could go and no expectation that I had to get them to do something. I truly went with an open heart and said, I've got information that I believe will be valuable to anybody who will listen to me long enough to allow me to share it, who they will allow me to share it. And that's what I want to do. I want to find people who will allow me, because then I'm going to share what I know about these products that can make such an amazing personal impact, and about this business model that can change whole futures should they choose to do something with that information. And every single person today said no to my product and no to my opportunity, and I had a great day because I had 20 people say no, and I am 20 engagements better than I was when I woke up this morning. God, what a magnificent day. I'm going to write in my journal. I got 20 times better than when I started. Perfect day. Because if you continue to engage and become good at being a human engager, not a pitch presenter, and if you truly do so with an open heart, you will get so good because you truly will have such growth and confidence, because you do have great products that you can have great confidence and faith in, and because you do have a great business model that's indisputable, because look at the success so many are having, and look at the growth around the world. That will take care of itself, and that will come with time. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. And then stage 3 is don't base your mental state on the actions of others. That's when you're getting into the expectation game instead of the testing game. And the testing part of the process, the third stage, we've already talked about that before, and just go back and watch that training. The quick review here is that there is a way to effectively, people can choose today to be committed and say yes, and most of them, and many of them, the majority, let's say, over 50%, well over 50%, will at some point change that decision. The challenge is they don't tell you when that happens. And because you're in the business of saving time, the testing, it's not like, well, I'm going to try and catch them. No, it's truly an open-hearted, open-minded, it's a mental process of I'm always testing those on my team, the people that I'm working with, and I'm not testing in a deceptive way. I'm testing in a very open, upfront, right between the eyes, crystal clear way, because I don't want to be wasting time that I could be spending with Mary, because I think that Fred is still committed, when it turns out Fred has changed his mind and just hasn't gotten around to telling anybody. And so all that time I've been spending with Fred, rather than really doing, now I almost feel like I'm pushing Fred, when a long time ago I should have realized, hang on a second, Fred's changed his mind, or he's no longer at that moment. That's okay. Here's how I love Fred, embrace Fred, continue to enjoy him and make him feel welcome in the community, but my time should be here with Mary, because Mary absolutely is still fully committed and engaged. That's what the testing thing is. And so those 3 phases, commit, engage, and test, those, when you understand those components and you commit, you engage others, and you personally commit to becoming more engagement capable, And then when you understand the purpose of testing, and when you go back and listen to that training, so you understand it, those three components together really are, Corey, those are skill sets that allow those three mindsets to be so much more effective for you. And so that's kind of how all of it fit together. So there you go. That's the commit and engage portion, which really is the first two steps to the third step. So if they go back 4 weeks, they can hear. So they ought to listen to these two now, and then go back and listen to that one. They got the whole thing together.
That was fantastic. I have to go back so I can take notes because I'm afraid to write because I'm going to miss what you're speaking at the time. So I have to go back and re-listen.
No, which by the way, I do the same thing. And for everybody listening, I think what I think is good when you've got a chance to do these things, particularly when it's recorded like this. That's why I love that we record these things, even if we just do phone calls and we record them. I've often said, in fact, when I'm at live events, if I know it's being recorded, like for example at GoPro Recruiting Mastery, where people could buy the recording of it. The reason I always do those things is when I'm there, I try to take like bullet word, like key word notes that'll trigger my thought, like a trigger word, but I try not to take notes because live, I think that's brilliant what you said. I love to engage so I can just stay immersed in the moment. And if I really know that it's fully recorded, there are times when I won't take any notes. I'll literally just allow it to just wash over me because then I can immediately go back and click, and then I take detailed notes, and then I do the repeat. And I always try and go through things at least 3 times. That was something else my mentor taught me. He said, if you're in a position with something live where you're not going to have access to it again, good luck, take all the notes you can. But if you are, then sometimes just let it happen. So I thought that was an interesting comment. That was something I had someone teach me 23, almost 24 years ago, and I think it's a brilliant way to do it, Romy. Great point.
Awesome. One of the things that I got out of this is I think
Romy, it may be. Are you there? There we go. It may be one or both of us because I think you just locked up on me. So if you're coming back, I'll stay here. I'll stay here with everybody just in case. Or maybe maybe I'm the one who locked up and Romy just can't hear me. So let's see which one of us comes back in. Let's see. I wonder if I'm the one who locked up or if Romy is. Let me do this. I'm